I am going, Rob, to give you the first chance to talk. But I just want to set you up, man. We know the score. 31-9. Freaking blowout. Honestly, Tom Brady's easiest Super Bowl win. He had 6 game-winning drives, a Super Bowl record in his first six Super Bowl wins. No need for a game-winning drive in this one unless you count that first touchdown drive as the game-winning drive, because it really was. But 43 years old, 7 Super Bowl victories now, more than any franchise. That's unbelievable. In the NBA, the Lakers and the Celtics each have 17 championships. So that'd be almost like a player, I can't even compare it to that, a player having 18. It's just unbelievable to have more championships than any other franchise in NFL history. So Rob Parker, look, I'm going to put it on a platter for you, and I'm going to be nice. I ain't jumping on you. I'm not bragging. I'm not, none of that. I'm not, but I'm going to say it. Think about it, Rob. No more trips to Mexico or abandoned trips to Mexico. No more going back to 2012 when you famously said that Tom Brady was done winning Super Bowls or getting the Super Bowls, let alone winning them. None of that. None of that. It's all gone. I'm erasing it. If you will admit, you will concede, finally, as the last person on planet Earth to deny that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, Rob Parker, I'm giving you the chance to admit that Tom Brady is the GOAT.
I have one response for you.
Oh, gosh.
No way, no how. Last night's 7th Super Bowl did not change this man's opinion. And if you came here thinking I was going to be like all these other weak analysts who was groveling and saying, I was wrong about Tom Brady. No, Rob Parker wasn't wrong.
Really?
No.
How not?
Just because you win a lot of championships doesn't mean you're the greatest player of all time. There's a context to it.
Player.
No, I'm talking about quarterback. Right. There's a context to it. Hello? Is this on? I mean, this whole idea, let's just be honest. He played fine. 3 touchdowns, 201 yards.
I'll say.
But the damn defense won the Super Bowl. You cannot deny it.
They were great.
Tom Brady.
I would never take anything from that defense. They were great.
That defense which held Patrick Mahomes to no touchdowns for the first time in at least college and pro career. 0. We can't overlook
Probably
that.
High school, too.
We can't think that this is all about Tom Brady. If Brad Johnson was on this team, Chris, the talk would be about the defense.
So wrong.
And how they stifled the Kansas City Chiefs and made Patrick Mahomes go from Superman to mortal, to mere mortal.
Clark Kent.
That's what the conversation would be. Instead, there's a narrative that somehow, some way, we have to continue to push to prove that because he was able to win the most championships, that he's the best, automatically. If that's the case, Bill Russell would be the greatest basketball player, and there would be no conversation. Well, but he's not the most popular choice of most people because there's a context. How many teams, other players did he dominate, what his numbers were? People look at it and say he was great and a winningest player, but he wasn't the greatest basketball player. Most people think it's Michael Jordan because of his dominance.
So let me ask you this, Rob. Let me ask you this. And I hear what you're saying because I do agree that it's not just a ring count, right? We both agree it's not just a ring count. You know, we have LeBron James ahead of Kobe Bryant, both of us. But Kobe won more ring than LeBron. We have LeBron ahead of Kareem. Kareem won 2 more rings than LeBron. So it's not a ring count. But what I'd ask you is this, Rob. You have Tom Brady ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Why? The rings is a big part of it.
Yeah, but that doesn't make you the best, is what I'm saying.
You've got the only one you've got ahead of him is Joe Montana. I think I'm right.
Joe Montana was more dominant in his reign of 4-0 in the Super Bowl, 11 touchdowns, no picks, 3 MVPs, 2 championships with Jerry Rice, 2 without. When I look at Tom Brady and I think about a 9-year gap in winning championships, and how Tom Brady had an unbelievable 18-0 Patriots team that lost the big game and only managed 14 points after they averaged 35 points. When I look at Tom Brady, who has won 2 Super Bowls with a grand total of 1 touchdown in those 2 Super Bowls, there's no way I'm going to count those and act like Tom Brady is the engineer. No, when I'm talking about somebody being the greatest of all time, I don't look at that. They won those games, and I give Tom Brady the rings, but I'm not going to use it like, oh, Tom Brady led the Patriots. No, it was the defense. A lot of times it was their kicking game. And the last point is, and then you can go, to me, with his 7th championship, winning 7 Super Bowls in 10 tries, Tom Brady has officially become the Robert Horry of the NFL. And no one has ever said Robert Horry with 7 championships is the greatest basketball player. And guess what? Robert Horry's had more clutch moments than Tom Brady. He's made big shots in big moments, and he's won. And he contributed to the different teams that he was on. Nobody would ever say, if Tim Duncan won that 6 championships in all 6 years, Chris, the one where Kawhi missed the free throw, he could have been 6-0. Nobody would put Tim Duncan over Michael Jordan, even if he was 6-0. You have to look at it in context. Rob Parker will stand up. Rob Parker will not bend over. Rob Parker will not bow down. Rob Parker will not change his stance. Tom Brady continues to be the LOAT. He is not the greatest of all time. And as long as I'm looking at what he's done in his career, there's no way I think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's the most accomplished, but he ain't the greatest. What?
Ridiculous.
Rob. You've had some bad takes in the history of this show. But you really went on national radio, 400 some odd markets, whatever it is, and actually compared Robert Horry. God bless him. I like Rob. But you actually compared Robert Horry to Tom Brady? Rob. I feel for you. I'm not even going to jump on you. I'm not going to try to embarrass you, yell at you. Rob, I mean, it's one thing for you to say Tom Brady's not the GOAT. It's one thing for you to say, I got Joe Montana 1, Tom Brady 2. That's wrong, but it's one thing for you to say that. But to compare Robert Horry to Tom Brady? Rob, stop it. Tom Brady, I'm not even going to address it anymore. That's just foolishness. Tom Brady, most touchdowns passing in NFL history. Second most passing yards in NFL history. More Super Bowl appearances than any other franchise outside of New England, where he went, led them to 10 of their 11. And then, of course, more Super Bowl rings than any franchise. And here's the thing, Rob. When he went to New England, they were a joke. They weren't the biggest joke of all time, but they were a joke. Even with Bill Belichick, 5-13 with an all-pro quarterback or Pro Bowl quarterback and Drew Bledsoe when Brady took over. They weren't anything special. They weren't rolling. They weren't on the come up. They weren't a team of the future. They were a joke. They also ran a doormat. And Tom Brady immediately made them a dynasty. Immediately. I mean, didn't even wait a week. Won like 8 straight, 10 straight, whatever it was, right away. 7 straight, something like that. And then he goes to Tampa Bay, Rob. 7-9 last year. All the same players except 3 who were out of the league. So I don't want to hear, he added Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was out of the league. Antonio Brown was like me and you. He was a civilian. He added Gronk. Gronk was out of the league. Gronk worked with me and you at Fox. Well, Leonard Fournette got cut by the freaking Jaguars. He didn't get cut by Green Bay, New Orleans, Buffalo. He got cut by Jacksonville. So the same players went 7-9 last year. Ndamukong Suh was there. And, they got Antoine Winfield, the rookie. JPP was there. Devon White, who's fantastic, was there. They had them all. And they were 7-9. They hadn't been to the playoffs in 13 years. They're the losingest franchise in NFL history. He had no offseason to work with them and get used to the offense. He's in a brand new system. First year with the team. And he, at 43 years old, a wild card team. They go to 3 road games in the playoffs. 2 of them against Super Bowl MVPs. 1 of them in the worst place to play for a visiting team in the whole NFL against the MVP. And then he beats the up-and-coming quarterback, the team that everybody thinks is going to win it. Oh, man. Tom Brady, I gave you a chance, Rob. I gave you a chance, and you fumbled like you were the old Tiki Barber before he got that fixed. You fumbled and called Robert Horry Tom Brady. I'm done. Is Tom Brady the GOAT, the LOAT, as Rob says, or God forbid, the NFL equivalent of Robert Horry? Your thoughts?
Cage in North Carolina, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Cage?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good, brother. How are you?
Hey, look, Rob Parker, I know they call you the Poo-Poo King, but I got a new nickname for you, the ODD, the Old Dirty Deflector.
The Old Dirty what?
Deflector. You just deflect. Yeah, you just deflect. I mean, yes, the defense plays good, but if you don't have a quarterback to capitalize on what the defense does, I mean, ask Chicago how they ask Chicago, ask the Saints, ask the Washington football team. I mean, you got to have a quarterback that can capitalize on what the defense does.
Ask Green Bay. They had 3 interceptions.
And you call him the luckiest of all time. I mean, think about it. Lucky is like finding money on the floor, or lucky is a female stripper know that you walked in the building. That's lucky.
Oh, wow.
He
all
went
right,
from
Cage
0 to
jokes.
90 quick, didn't he?
He got material.
It was a good take to that last line, but all right.
Dr. Midnight in Toronto, Canada. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What you got?
Oh God, Rob, man, I love you, man, but I think I threw up my mouth 10 times. But I'm gonna give you a pass because typically I'm gonna attribute your behavior to $1 bill toxin because you're not be able to throw it at the women at Magic City because everything's all closed down. So I'll give you a pass on that. Listen, Chris, it's Chris all the way. Tom Brady is no longer in the conversation for greatest quarterback of all time. That's behind him now. He's already established that. And he's already established now he's the greatest NFL player for all time because not only of his accomplishments, but stats and being able to do that at his age and bringing a winning culture to Tampa Bay. It's only a matter. The only argument now is whether or not he's the greatest athlete of all time, and we can now have that serious conversation with all the greats: Ali, Gretzky, Jordan. We can start having those conversations. Those other conversations, those are put to rest. We can start having those serious conversations about him being the greatest athlete of all time.
That's your opinion, Dr. Midnight. That's your opinion.
I know.
Okay, I just
Rob,
want you to,
I'm gonna say this,
Don't
and
speak it in facts. Okay?
And this was a great series. You remember Sports Century? Yep. Remember they did that? What was that? The late '90s, early 2000s. I was in a lot of them.
Classic, right? They used to play that a lot.
Those were fantastic. If they did that again, which they honestly should, Brady would have a chance to be number one. I don't know if he would. I don't think he should, but he'd be right there. Because who was it? Was Ali number one? It was Ali, Jim Brown.
It was a bigger impact on everything. Like everything was included. That's how
Jordan was
Ali,
up there. But Jordan was
lost.
I think Jordan was number one.
No, I think it was Jordan.
Yeah. So and obviously Jordan wasn't as much off the court. So, but Brady he'd be up there. It'd be interesting. All right.